Washington, July 16, 1974. We are studying right now the minutes of a meeting of the Washington Special Actions Group. So in this group, we have people, of course, of the state, of the defense, GCS, CIA, NSC staff, so many people. The subject is, of course, Cyprus. I go straight to the important position. So we have the first mention of Cisco is that US UN has been informed that Wakeman, the special UN representative on Cyprus, saw Makarios this morning, talked to him. Makarios said that the British had offered him protection and evacuation to any place he wanted to go. Makarios refused, but asked for UN protection. So this is a point of Cisco. After that, we have a remark from Kissinger, and he mentioned Callaghan. He just talked to him on the phone 5 minutes ago. He says that Makarios has accepted once British protection. From what I understand, the British are flying him to the aircraft carrier Hermes and then to Malta. And he just said that everyone, at least now, agrees that Makarios is alive. Of course, we know that is the truth. For us, is of course obvious, but at that time, no. So they mentioned also that Makarios is leaving the island. And for me, it's important to see that you see the red reference of the special Turk parliamentary meeting, July 18. And Colby said it could mean that they intend to move their forces to Cyprus. This is the first mention that it was possible to have an invasion. But you see, it could mean that they intend to move their forces to Cyprus. And remember that we are July 16. Okay? So this will happen 4 days after. And you see the surprise of Kissinger. I just can't believe that. I just can't believe they want Makarios back in power. He just said that about the Turks. The answer from Cisco, the Turks would intervene to A, protect the Turk Cypriot community, and B, to prevent NSCs from taking place. You see? Again, from Kissinger, it just seems inconceivable to me that they would support him, Makarios. Now, another point, very important, about the Soviets, in fact. So, Kissinger said they are moving in an easterly direction away from Cyprus, question mark, in reference to Mr. Colby's briefing on Soviet fleet movements. Yes. So, what kind of forces do we have in the Eastern Mediterranean now? You know why this question is remarkable? Because if they had prepared the coup, it will be very surprising to see Kissinger asking this. So, the general, Pauli, there are two main task forces. So the group is located south of Crete. You remember? So this is Forrestal. And now, at that moment, this task force is between Crete and Athens. So there are also small elements around, but those are the two main task forces. Just that. One is the aircraft carrier Forrestal, and the other is an amphibious task force. Only two. So we've told them all to remain out of the ports, normal, to avoid any bombing attacks, who knows, and to be prepared for a 24-hour lead time in case they are needed. So it's clear. They are not there to do something. It's normal. Kissinger, I don't think we ought to do anything with them now, even if the Soviet ships are moving. Am I right? And Cisco answered, definitely. So the position is quite different from the past reality, okay? We always say that there is no relation between US, USSR, Turkey, invasion, Greece, Cyprus. So we see now, it's very clear, nothing was prepared by Americans, especially for the coup. So Colby wanted to speak about the Greek-Turk Aegean dispute, but Kissinger said, let's finish with Cyprus first. So you see again the protection. First, the mention of Cisco. First, if the UK provides Macarius protection, that changes the situation, okay? And again, with Cisco, I believe it will be Rosides, the Cypriot UN representative, who represents Macarius, who will raise the question. And at the end of his intervention, he mentioned the Soviets will jump in. So they will use it as an excuse. Kissinger, it seems to me we have to have a firm understanding of the situation before we jump. We have to look at the possibility of one, civil war and the role of Macarius forces, or two, the Samson regime establishes control with Macarius off the island. So I think we ought to be careful that we don't provide the Soviets the excuse to legitimize the situation. So you see the word excuse. He wants to avoid this. So I propose that in the noon briefing, if asked about recognition, we say that the issue has not arisen or something like that. But we do not want to be positive about who we do recognize. If Macarius is off the island, this might raise the Soviet anger. So you see the problem? Again, so we want what? We want an unambiguous statement of Greek intentions towards Cyprus from him. He means the president, the prime minister, something which is important. We want to diffuse the Turk anger. They mainly want to prevent enosis. After that, we have a mention to Ioannidis from Kissinger. Let's get the word to Ioannidis. I don't care which way, but do it. So you see, it's a real contact. Cisco answered that the ambassador Tasca should go see Ioannidis and tell him what we said yesterday. Kissinger said, right. Again, something which is the American point of view, but it's related to the situation. There is a good chance that resistance will develop on the island if the Turks invade. So, Kissinger, the question is, what Lygeros and the communists? But if he, Lygeros, is off the island, it seems to me resistance would collapse. So you see this, Lygeros in the past has had communist support. The mention is from Cisco. He also has a broad-based popular support, which is quite different. We have also a remark from the ambassador, McCloskey. That's right. In past election, Lygeros has received upward of 95% of the vote in honest elections. The remark is important. So, Kissinger, an issue here is what is the balance of forces if a civil war develops? If the organized forces are communist, it's an entirely different situation than if they are not. So you see again the framework of Cold War. So what are the political leanings of Lygeros, tactical reserve forces? So Mr. Boyd said they are basically pro-Lygeros. They are certainly not communist. This is a point. So Kissinger said, we don't have a basis on which to move until the situation clarifies. It's too complicated at this point. So we have the problem of the size of organized forces. You see the regular Greek forces, the Greek officers in the National Guard, and also the total forces on the island. A remark from Cisco. Through the London-Turkish agreement, the Greeks have the right to station officers on the island. So you see, it's a positive point, clearly. After that, Kissinger mentioned what? Our objectives, as I see it, are: one, to prevent the internationalization of the situation, and two, if civil war develops, to conduct ourselves so that the communists aren't encouraged to exploit the situation. So again and again, it's the same thing, the same problem they are trying to avoid. The first thing we have got to do is to decouple the Greeks and do it today. So something like a separation of the situation. We also have to get the Turks to stay out of it. So for him, and you will see that it's an error, said, if he, Lygeros, is indeed living, it seems to me that organized resistance will collapse. This is wrong, because Lygeros is living, and at the end, he will return in December. Secretary Kissinger, at the end of another remark, said, we don't want to recognize Samson. He's just a figurehead anyway, isn't he? Stabler, that's right. If asked, we should say that the question of recognition just hasn't arisen. So it's clear, no? There is no relation with Samson. They don't want to recognize him, but they just want to say that the question was not arisen. Clemens now, just at the end of the minutes, what are the Greeks doing? Of course, the question is about the Greeks of Greece. What is their objective in this? So Colby, they want to take over the country. They think that Lygeros is nothing but a bloody communist. So the final remark from Kissinger, we have to keep the Turks and the Soviets out of this. We must see how the internal situation on Cyprus evolves. So you see, they are waiting. They don't know really what is going to happen. And they just want to avoid the international issue, to avoid the excuse for the Soviets to do something, an intervention. They have no in mind the position of Turks about the invasion. And we are just 4 days before. So it's clear.